Welcome to My Degree is Black TV. My name is Jamie Latin Sims, co-founder of My Degree is Black and proud Prairie View alumnus.
Boom. Okay, we add another little line to it. We got fancy guests. Okay, I see. Setting the stage. Here you go.
I'm trying to go straight in when the intro.
I'm J. Albert Nichols, honorary alumnus of Prairie View A&M University, and you are tuned in to the place where we celebrate our culture by telling your stories to change the narratives that are associated with the HBCU experience.
There you go. Boom. There you go. Man, well, I am honored to have the honorable judges on here. So we're going to just get this thing started. We're not going to waste any time because people came to see y'all and not us. And so we have some discussion. They want to, so let your hair down. I let mine down early. I took my wave cap off, so I'm ready. So we got 10 people on the line right now. We want to ask those 10 people to hit your share button. Let everybody know that we're on here discussing HBCU experiences. We're discussing celebrating these women and their accomplishments and what they got from their HBCU experience. And we want other alumni to hear about it. We want other teenagers to hear about it that are thinking about going to HBCUs or not going or things of that nature. So we want everybody to know what's going on. That's how we get the exposure so people know about these awesome institutions that we've been to. So enough of me talking. Let's go straight into Raised and Made. You cool with that, John?
Let's hit it. Because I'm ready to get in that business.
Yeah. We got to. We get through this. We are going to. We'll go with Judge Toria first. So Raised and Made is pretty much tell us where you were raised, where you grew up. Tell us about you had this many brothers and sisters or whatever, all of that good stuff, and then tell us what HBCU made you and where you are now. This is pretty much your introduction to our audience.
Okay, all right. First and foremost, thank y'all for having me here. And I say y'all to give you a hint on where I'm from. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised. Okay. I'm actually the youngest of three. I have an older brother and an older sister. And my sister lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And my brother lives in Nashville, Tennessee. So they raised me. And then I was made, I would say, Alabama A&M University in Huntsville, Alabama, the real heel. I'm sure we'll get into that later. We've already talked about that. And also, I graduated from the wonderful institution of Thurgood Marshall School of Law, where I received my Juris Doctorate. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
We are glad to have you. We're glad to have you. Yeah, we will get on that Hill conversation a little bit later, hopefully. Judge Angela.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Graves Harrington, and I was born in Gulfport, Mississippi, raised in the historic community of Turkey Creek, Mississippi. Look it up when you get an opportunity. There's also a documentary about it. I had three brothers. I have one surviving brother now. He lives in Gulfport, Mississippi. And I am an alum of Jackson State University, the historic Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, as well as an alum of Thurgood Marshall School of Law. And I will say that my experiences at both institutions are definitely why I am where I am today. The things that were instilled in me, and I'm sure we'll get into discussions about that later, but just never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that HBCUs would have the impact on my life that they have.
Awesome. That's great. We are excited to hear more about that. I was writing notes about some things, and I was wondering how big Turkey Creek was too. So, so Judge Erica, we know you a little bit, but let the people know who you are.
I am originally from Dallas, Texas, Oak Cliff, Texas. You may have heard the song Oak Cliff. That's where I'm from. And I attended Prairie View A&M University in Prairie View, Texas. The Yard, the Hill, the home of the purple and gold. The best school in the SWAC, in the lane.
Ooh.
Storm.
Shots fired.
School of Law and received a Juris Doctorate from there as well. If you've ever been to any school in the SWAC, you can contest. That Prairie View has the most beautiful campus, the greenery. It is wonderful. And I love my time there and oftentimes wish I could go back.
I don't want to somebody put in there the real hill as you were talking, Judge Erica. These are not paid comments. We don't pay our people to comment about anything. So just let you know.
We know what market we're in. I understand the market. I get it.
Exactly, T. We know where I'm sorry, Judge Finch. We know where we are.
No, much love to PB. Much love to PB.
Everybody is welcome. Everybody's welcome. Just to have a little bit of fun before we're going to have fun the whole time is a conversation. And while we have this fun, if you're on here, all 19 of you guys here, we got enough people to do the electric slide, John. So usually when we know how many guests, if we have 10, we can only do the cha-cha. If we have 20, we can do the electric slide. If we have 30, we can do the wobble. And it's a party. We're trying to get to 30 so we can have a party. But I want to do a game called Guilty or Not Guilty of going to HBCU, right? Mm-hmm. So is this person guilty or not guilty of going to HBCU? If you do not know your school song, are you guilty or not guilty of going to HBCU?
Not guilty.
Yeah, I say not guilty.
So y'all don't know y'all school song?
No, wait a minute.
I used to years ago.
What do you mean not guilty?
Meaning, go ahead, Jamie.
No, you tell them. Come on, listen. You know the rules better than I know because I might describe it wrong.
No, I was just gonna say.
Without reasonable doubt.
They're not culpable. They're not. You can't be mad at them for not knowing their school song. I mean, they don't have school spirit. I mean,
okay.
I graduated I'm not gonna tell you how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago.
What you do remember is the song that was popping the year you graduated. That's what matters.
Education, Lord, it was kind of hot. I'll tell you that.
Juvenile, she for the 99 2000.
Come on.
Oh goodness.
Okay. If you do not call your HBCU the Yard, are you guilty or not guilty of going to HBCU?
Guilty.
Okay.
I think I understand. I feel real stupid right now, but
it's okay. The guilties and the not guilties are backwards. But I get what you're saying. Just if you're wrong, you're guilty. If you're
wrong, you're guilty. So if you went to the HBCU and you don't do these things, then you're guilty. Is that what?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm ready now. Let's go.
We're gonna cut that session. I got a couple more later. They're like interludes, you know what I'm saying? So I'll throw them in every once in a while. So, but you guys, most of y'all had an opportunity to meet John on his podcast, The Beauty and the Beard, and got to talk to us before you guys got elected into office. And I know, John, I want to kind of do a transfer from there. So, John, can you have some questions too? I want us to talk about. Can you go straight into some of those?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I am, as I pull these up real quick. Okay, yeah. So like when we first met you had just everybody had just started to see you start the campaign trail. You had already been on it, but like the celebrity had kind of just happened. And so like what is like the first question that I'd have is like, how did it feel to become a celebrity, like literally overnight? Like you went from doing what you normally do to now your name is in headlines across the world. Like, what was that experience like?
I'll jump in there real quickly then and just say, honestly, I think when it happened, I still was not comprehending what was happening because it was unpredictable. It was unprecedented and it was unplanned. I plan to win. I don't do anything that I don't plan on succeeding at. Don't get me wrong. However, at the level in which we succeeded, it blew my mind when my mother in Nashville, Tennessee is telling me that her students are bragging to her about these 19 Black women judges running in Harris County and trying to show her a picture in class. She's like, well, that's my daughter. Or, cousins from California or whatever, and they know what's going on. Oh, you flashed across the screen on CNN. It's just, I was awestruck. I was humbled, by it because it blew my mind. It blew my mind.
I'll jump in there and agree that it was pretty mind blowing. And I remember I was just thinking about this today because Congressman John Lewis was laid to rest, right? And one of his purposes, one of his greatest accomplishments was the voting rights. Like he really pushed for us to have the right to vote and to recognize that we are a product of that. I was a little overwhelmed by his services today. And also, after we won, we had gone to a church, and I think I can't remember which church it was, so I don't want to say the wrong one. But at the end, we lined up, and the congregation came around, and they all spoke to us. And this lady stopped, and she talked to me for a long time, and she said, I heard you from Mississippi. And so then she started talking about how she was one of Medgar Evers' mentees, and how the night that he was killed, he was actually getting home late because he had taken them home. They had gone up to Mississippi State. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she said, you all are the realization of what we were fighting for. And to have history standing right there in front of me, telling me that we are the product of what they have been struggling for so long, it was overwhelming. The TV shows and the recognition and being called celebrities, that's one thing. But to recognize that we have been given an opportunity as a result of the shoulders that came before us, that's what was so overwhelming and so compelling for me. And it made me realize that after all of the celebrity is gone, and believe it or not, we still go places and people are like, the judges, those are the judges. But we realize that we have a great responsibility on the bench. And it's made me really stand firm in my convictions and what I believed in when I ran, what I promised I would do when I ran. I'm sticking to that because it's not for me. I have a responsibility, and I have a responsibility to serve this bench with so much dignity that it opens the doors for others to come behind me. We don't want this to be a one-time thing where they say, we gave them a chance and they messed it up. We can't do this again. We are building up on a foundation that was laid for us. And I am striving, and I'm sure all of us are striving to leave behind a legacy that will give others an opportunity to follow behind us.
I'll add to that and say definitely the picture was a snapshot, but the actual work that's being done in the community and on the bench and the lives that are being changed by the 19 women, because we work in different parts of the judiciary. We have family law judges, we have some civil judges, JP, and criminal. And so the lives that are being changed from our history as a people, Judge Harrington spoke to the shoulders that we're standing on. At Prairie View, it was a plantation, Alta Vista Plantation. And so you realize the opportunities that you're getting because people came before you, and those people set the tone for you to be in that position. And she's right. You don't want to let those people down, but the stardom that came from it was great. But the most important thing, like she said, is the actual work and the lives that we're changing and that we're doing what we say. A lot of people run for office. They make a lot of promises, but they don't put up when it's time to do the work. And so that's, I think, one of the biggest things, and as a consensus that nobody sat down and talked about, but it's just embedded in us individually, that's what we're going to do, what we said, and we're here to help people.
Yeah, we had a beautiful moment, and Angela brought it to my attention where, we had the wonderful opportunity where struggle met progress. And that's where we had the opportunity to meet our representative, John Lewis. And we must shout him out for many reasons, but we have to acknowledge that his degrees are Black too.
Yeah.
For people that don't know that. And they're from Nashville, Tennessee, where he earned his Bachelor's of Arts degree from Fisk University, which is an HBCU, and also from the American Baptist College, which is a predominantly African-American school as well. My father received his seminary degree there too. So it was a beautiful moment. And I think because of the height of everything, it just kind of brought things full circle for us. So, but it's been an amazing adventure.
Awesome.
One thing John says when we were first starting my degree as Black, and as we were coming up, I don't even know if it was the vision. We were just talking through it and what we wanted it to mean to us. And we wanted people that we could touch. And so, Judge Angela, when you were talking about one of the older ladies saying, this is what we wanted to see. You guys are pretty much the manifestation of what we fought for. It reminded me of watching Becoming on Netflix with Michelle Obama, and she was sitting in a church, and the older ladies were telling her the same thing. But you know what? I can't touch Michelle Obama. But you guys are on our show, and like I feel the same chills that I felt when I was watching the Netflix show. And so, like, I think it's important that we highlight these women and men, whether that HBC communities within the Black community, that our children and our seasoned saints, I'm so bad, can that they can touch, because sometimes when it's so far away, you don't really think it's real all the time.
Yes.
And you guys are real, and we've been in different places with you. We've been to school with you, so it's like this is amazing. So you guys said thank you for having you guys on. Thank you for being here, so people can know how close it is, and that they're able to do it too. That it's not so far away as they might have thought it was, because Michelle Obama is so far away in their mind.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the beauty of it, is that we are representations of what could be, right? I'm a girl from Turkey Creek, Mississippi. You know, I still have family. Well, Turkey Creek is family. Everyone on the creek is family. So, but I'm from Turkey Creek, Mississippi, and now I'm a judge in a county with over 4 million people. But my cousins from Turkey Creek, Mississippi, and their friends, my siblings, their friends, their grandkids, they can look at this and say, well, if Angie can do it or Ambu can do it, then I know I can do it. You know, I have the same level of intelligence that she does. I have the same level of perseverance. I have the same desires that she does. And if she put her mind to it and she did it, then definitely I can do it. And we have seen that, not just here in Harris County. I have gotten emails from people in other counties, in other states that are running for office and are saying, I owe this all to you all. When I saw that picture and I read your stories, I watched your interviews, I realized that I don't need to be afraid, that this is a possibility. And I'm going to step out and do this.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Jay, before you jump into the HBCU, I got one more question, which actually is aligned with where Judge Erica was taking us. So we go back a little bit, a couple years, almost 2 years to the date when we were first having this conversation. So you get in the office, right? In the last 2 years, you've been working as judges in Harris County. It's no secret that while our county votes blue, we have a lot of issues with regard to race, judicial policies, how they're being enforced, like those things that happen within our communities. And so within the past 2 years, and you talk, Judge Erica, about like the impact you all have individually had on our communities, and then collectively what you've had, like, was the last 2 years what you expected it to be? You know, like what have been some of those things that's like, yo, you know what? This is not what I signed up for. Actually, Judge Story and I told her, I was like, I think we're having the same kind of experience in, I love what I do, but all of the parameters that surround it, I could do without.
Right. So growing up, you know, you get opportunities maybe to go to museums or go to places or go to jobs and see people that you can actually touch. I think in these positions, there were not many people that maybe you can go to their courtroom or you can try to learn from them or shadow them. I know that all of us bring students to the courtroom and show them around the courtroom and show them what they can do or what they can be. And so I think that's important, of giving back to the community and all the school districts around, in Harris County. The thing that maybe I love the most is that when I'm walking in the back, behind closed doors, not in the hallways where the public is, I can see one of their faces and kind of, you know, give their head nod or say hello to them. And that will give you a lot of energy, maybe when it's a tough day or it's been tough. I do want to add one thing in regards to what I didn't expect. I expected that people would be upset. I expected that people might not like that all 19 of us won. What I didn't expect is a study to be done on how judges will be placed in office. If the Governor Abbott, has started a study. And so now they want to appoint these judicial positions that we're in from the government. And so this study consists of members. They're on a board. They're doing the study now. They had a hearing yesterday in Corpus Christi. They're going to come to Houston to do a hearing. I think a lot of people aren't aware of that. So I expected that, again, people would be upset, but not that it would go to this level. We have a lot of African-American female judges in Dallas County as well. But here in Harris County, after the Houston 19, this study has taken a life of its own in a form. And so they're considering at the next legislature to pass this.
Before we go any further, because what you just said is very important, like, and it just blew my mind. Like, I am, like, every emotion in me is triggered right now. Is there anything, as I don't want to miss this moment or this opportunity, is there anything that we can do to ensure that that does not happen, that this is not passed, that we have the right to vote for who oversees and enforces or interprets, I believe, the laws that are passed in this county?
So
go ahead.
So the beautiful thing about democracy is that things are not supposed to, right? I was going to say can't, but they aren't supposed to just happen at the snap of a finger. So we have several different things that have to happen before this can actually even come into place. Right now, they're conducting a study. They're going around to different counties, larger counties, and actually having community meetings where people can actually sign up to speak. And it's really important that when you sign up to speak, that you're actually speaking about why the process should or should not change, but to also have some facts and some stats to back that up. Because right now, I think it was just kind of a rush decision to get this study in place because it was a shock. It was a shock to the system that so many, not just African-American women, I think it was just a shock that the judiciary in and of itself was not completely, but it was changed, it was revamped. And a large part of that did have to do with 18 African-American women that were elected. So when they come to Harris County, be prepared to speak, sign up to speak, and watch our social media pages, because a lot of people are posting about when this commission will be coming to Harris County. And when I say coming, it more than likely will be a Zoom hearing like it was in Corpus Christi. I think Judge Finch has on her social media page now, and maybe Judge Hughes also, the meeting that they did just have in Corpus Christi. So to give you an idea of what types of questions they are asking and what type of response is coming from the community. I will say that I have been pleasantly surprised that the responses have been very, they really thought about it. They really put a lot of thought into their responses. And the majority of the people are saying, leave it like it is. We've tried this before. We tried this like 200 years ago or 150 years ago, maybe 3 times we've tried this, and it did not work with the governor appointing it. Because what they're saying is we need to take the politics off the bench. But let's be real. If we have a governor that's appointing judges, whether it's a Democratic governor or a Republican governor, they are going to appoint people from their party. And not just that, they are going to appoint prominent people from their party. So if we're being completely honest here, none of us would be sitting here if we had a governor, even a Democratic governor, appointing judges, because none of us come from huge law firms. None of us come from deep pockets. None of us have deep, serious political affiliations. And so, which is great, in my opinion, we are the best types of judges to have on the bench because we are not beholden to anyone but Lady Justice. That's it. We don't owe anyone anything. Right. We don't have huge campaign contributions coming in. We don't have people that have promised us bigger positions once we finish this position. We are here to serve the people. And that's honestly the best type of judge you can have on the bench. So how you can get involved is just to stay aware. And I'm sure Judge Finch, Judge Hughes, all of us will be posting about the commission when they are ready to come to Harris County and they start accepting people to be on the list. So,
and when you sign up, here's some things I would like for the listeners to think about and to challenge the committee with. And some of these points have already been highlighted in some some past public hearings that they've had in other places. But ask them why now, right? What about what happened or what is happening now calls for such a change? Ask them, why is the electorate not qualified or intelligent enough to vote for the judiciary, but yet they're qualified and intellectual enough to vote for the congressional races and the gubernatorial races, right? These are questions that you need to challenge this committee about. I think they went in initially thinking that the straight ticket would just kind of settle whatever concerns they might have, which they haven't even tested that theory yet to even determine whether that would satisfy some concerns as far as qualification of the judiciary or whatever else it is. But I think the win and the sweep, quite honestly, was just so drastic and so significant that I feel like they feel as if they need to do something desperate. And what they're doing, in my personal opinion, takes away from the very rights that the voters of all of Texans have. And so these are the very things that John Lewis and so many people before us have fought for. And we cannot just stand by and let someone take away those rights, because we need people in these seats that not only look like us, but care about us as well and can be held accountable to us. What's different from what they're trying to do is, let's talk about our federal judiciary, okay? There are many challenges there, and those are lifetime appointed seats. But no one's going to look at that. So when you sign up to talk to them, challenge them about these issues and have solutions as to why this is not the best course of action.
Yep. I'll definitely get with you offline, Mr. Albert, about that, so you can know when it's coming to Houston.
Yeah, I want to pass that information on. Everybody know I'm super black. Very, 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 very incredibly.
And I think another surprise for us on the bench was COVID, right? We do a lot of now hearings virtually. That's never really been done before. A lot of the, I would say, older judges maybe are having a time with that, but we are new to the bench. And so it's new to us, but it's something that kind of we accepted and got right to, and got the dockets and cases moving again virtually. And so I think none of us expected that. But I think we are perfect for the position in such a time as this, that we have never been here and we're not used to the old ways. So we could just transition into virtual and keep the ball moving and keep Harris County Judiciary afloat. So I think that's a big thing that we were not expecting in this, but that we have taken charge to and getting the job done.
Yeah, COVID was on my list too, Judge.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak from the criminal standpoint. We have been in what I call the new Reconstruction era, okay? And, the Reconstruction era is a big deal for us in general, but what we essentially were doing was tearing down the very criminal justice system as we knew it. Everything from bail reform to how people receive court-appointed lawyers, how we adjudicate matters, what kind of programs do we have in place, and the list goes on and on and on. And we were making some significant strides in that. But when COVID-19 hit, I think it kind of took us all by surprise and kind of it hasn't put a halt to it because we're still moving, but it definitely was an unexpected hurdle for us. But we're still committed to getting this done, and we're going to keep on going.
And I will say for the family benches, it's been extremely difficult for our CPS cases because we have children whose lives are in our hands, right? And sometimes we just need that personal touch. We need them to be right there where we can see and touch them. And so it's difficult sometimes. There have been some positives that come out of this because we've had parents who've never come down to the courthouse because some people are fearful of the courthouse, right? Especially minorities. They don't want to come to the courthouse for anything. So they actually will appear on the Zoom hearing. So that has helped us move our cases along. We've also been able to actually see the children's living environments. When they call in, we can see the bedroom or hear the noises in the background that they say are causing them some distress. So those are the positives. But as Judge Finch said, I think that the judiciary as a whole in Harris County now has been trying to rebuild something that was broken. And we were all making significant strides in everything, implementing programs, and in my court, the trauma-informed programs, and really getting involved with the parents and And it came to a halt. It really did, because those programs are not there. I mean, we still are a trauma-informed court, but the trainings that we were supposed to be attending, the trainings our parents were supposed to be attending, all of these things have come to a halt. So that is the biggest challenge, initially moving the docket, because we had to figure out, we are running in a new era now. This is a completely new normal for us. Never has there ever been a total judiciary online, and we are basically virtual courts now. Another beauty in that is that the public actually gets to see how our courts operate. They get to see, if these judges are doing what they said they were going to do, because we're online, so you can actually see our proceedings. And just to go back just a moment to the hearing that Judge Finch was mentioning, the one in Corpus Christi, one of the attorneys that spoke said he's been practicing for, I think, 38 years. And he said, this system is not broken the way it is now. He said, I have not walked out of one court and said, wow, this judge is totally unqualified, or this judge had no idea what they were doing. So we are operating in a system that, our system is kind of broken right now, but it's not a result of anything that we've done. But I will pat every judge on the back and say, we have done an excellent job. We have rose to the occasion. This is a challenge that none of our predecessors have ever had to deal with. And I think we are doing a tremendous job of continuing to move our dockets, move our cases, and protect our families and the citizens of Harris County.
Absolutely. Well, you aren't the only person that thinks y'all are doing a great job. There's a lot of people in the comments.
Did we get the 30?
Say that again.
Did you get the 30, Jamie? You said
we did. We got up to 39 for a second. I was kind of moving and shaking.
He's about to hit Nuck If You Buck. You can scroll with that.
Hey, but you guys were talking about how individually, but I hear a lot of even collectively stuff like, so I think the support of one another, like, so I think we all have pledged in college. And so, but when I got there, even I tell people my first line brothers, my first line sisters were those who I was studying with. And so, but even at the HBCU, it brings this camaraderie and this togetherness, this unity. So, is there anything you can attribute to your time at the HBCU, or how you guys support each other now, whether it's through just the HBCU hallways, or whether it's through your sorority or through organization? Because you guys are major supporters of one another. And I think that's something that hasn't been broadcast in mainstream media all the time, that of being, we're crabs in a bucket. And I'm like, man, I don't see that. Like, I don't see that personally. And so can you guys speak to that a little bit?
I think the beauty of an HBCU is that crabs in the bucket mentality is not there, because we're all equal, right? So I had and I'll say the privilege, because it is a privilege to attend a non-HBCU. I think we call them PWIs, but I don't want to be offensive to anyone. But I attended Mississippi State University.
You can be non-offensive. Me and John will do the offensive part.
Okay.
Yeah.
I attended Mississippi State University. And while there was camaraderie there amongst the African-American students, there was also this level of competition that, I have to be that African-American student. I have to be this one to shine. I have to be at the top. When I got to Jackson State, and I realized that, there was an expectation that you are going to be great. Every one of you is going to be great. We're not picking the top or who we decide we're not going to crown a king or a queen here. If you're here and you're stepping foot on these sacred grounds, you are going to respect those who came before you. You are going to shine, and you are going to be excellent. And they didn't accept anything less. And so we learned at Jackson State, whether you were an AKA, a deaf.
Oh, here you go.
No, that's this. Go ahead.
So what I'm trying to do here is despite our differences and despite our different organizations, and here's the Delta that wants to just bust open the whole story that I'm telling at this point. Yeah. But no matter your
I'm with you, Angela. Go ahead.
whether you're Greek affiliation or non-Greek affiliation,
Right.
the amazing part about it is we all supported each other in our endeavors. Even when we go home, we have homecomings because it is home. And HBCU is a home away from home. You learn how to support your family, even at times you don't like them, because we had some tough times on the campaign trail. But no one better say anything about the 19th, because at the end of the day, we are sisters. We learned that at our HBCUs, our respective HBCUs. And to be honest, I feel that way about every HBCU. Don't tell me anything about Alcorn. I'm gonna set you straight.
I can say it, but you can't.
I'm gonna set you straight, because that's just how we learn how to protect our brothers and sisters. So on the campaign trail, we had those moments. Believe it or not, there are people who would try to pick which ones were going to be the leaders, which ones we want to support these three, or we want to support these two over here. But
because all of y'all aren't going to make it,
right? Because everyone's not going to make it, and this is the story we were told. Everyone's not going to make it, so you need to separate yourself, because these people over here aren't going to make it. And at the end of the day, even if they didn't make it, it wouldn't be because Angela or Erica or Toria or Tanya or any one of us didn't support each other. So we were supporting each other to the end. When we were wrong, we told each other we were wrong, because that's what family does. But we did all of that behind closed doors. You air all your grievances amongst your family, right? And then you get out there and you shine. So that's what I learned at HBCU, and I've carried that with me throughout my life.
For me, it's basically what she said, slightly different perspective. So in my younger adolescent years, I grew up in a predominantly white environment, whether it was athletics, school, or whatever. And so in those environments, you're always different, right? And you're recognized for those differences. And it's not necessarily because of your skills and abilities, right? And that's distracting when it comes to your progress. Can I thrive in a predominantly white environment? Absolutely. Can I thrive in a diverse environment? Absolutely. But what your HBCU, or what my HBCU did for me, is that it took away that distraction and it focused more on what made me different, maybe from my peers. It's not that I look different, but we all have different talents and skills and abilities. But what we learned is that it complements, they all complements. It's a sense of community and networking, because they drill in us the pride of who we are in our identity and how we need each other. And so what I took from my HBCU experience and being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, is that when we all came together, it wasn't about, okay, is she running against me? Is she going to win? Am I going to win? Or who's going to lose? It was, how can we get this done? Mm-hmm. You know, it was about how can we lift one another? How can we encourage one another? Because we understood that my success or our individual success did not have to come at the expense of somebody else. Because the reality is that we will never win this situation if we don't understand that we all need each other to succeed. When we master the art of tug of war, is what I say, then we really will win this game. And tug of war is an elementary concept, but the whole idea is that if you get enough strength on one side and you pull together, you win. And that's what we have to do no matter what arena we're in, because we can win at every level. It doesn't have to come at the expense of our brother and sister anywhere. The goal is to win and to thrive. And that's what I got from my HBCU.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Y'all want me to go?
Yeah, we waiting on you.
We waiting
on you. I'm gonna make your face big. Come on, let me make your screen big.
I had the opportunity to pledge in the Eta Beta chapter of Delta Sigma Theta at Prairie View A&M University. They select the cream of the crop. And so when you are online with your line sisters, and for the most part, everybody is shining, then you recognize what they said, the benefit of being amongst other Black women who are successful, who have goals, and who are going to shine. And so Toria, Angela, and myself went to Thurgood Marshall. We happened to be classmates at Thurgood Marshall. So we graduated from college from these HBCUs, ended up at Thurgood Marshall at the same time. ended up in the same section because they break you up into sections. So all three of us, ironically, were in the same section. And we didn't even talk about running for judge at the same time. And none of the other women did either, out of the 19. And so when you recognize that you are amongst other people who are already shining, they were already attorneys and successful in their careers, and then you bring it together, then like they said, you can definitely win together. And I had won so many times at Prairie View together with individuals that had been engineering, studying together, Delta Sigma Theta. And then when we got to law school, even as a section, you kind of have to come together with the professors that are to win in class. And so those experiences at my HBCU helped me to get to the place of the Houston 19 and supporting each other. And we still support each other in endeavors and when things happen, and just to be able to pick up the phone or text and shoot things off of each other. Or when you're frustrated about things, it's beneficial. We're still winning together. And I think everybody will probably run again in 2022. So we have to.
Well, I'm gonna just throw this out there. When y'all was on my show, I said everybody was winning.
You did say that.
I said everybody was winning.
I remember
like,
that.
y'all ain't gotta worry about it. It's a straight, and I meant that. I'm about to cuss, but I'm not. It was really like, I know how much I love black women. Like, I am enamored with black women, and like, I'm gonna say it again. Y'all winning in 2022. It's done.
We receive it.
We do. Thank you too. Thank you for your support, by the way. I don't want us to skip over that because you were very supportive and instrumental in our campaign, and you really poured into us. And you were one of those few voices that believed that we all could win, and we believed it. We bought into it, and so we thank you for that. And you're still supporting us, so we love you for it.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to touch on something Erica said about professors. You mentioned the professors. Professors at HBCUs are some of the most supportive people that you could ever meet. Yes. Again, I attended another school before I got to Jackson State, and the professors were nice in class and they spoke, but it was that was the end of it. And at Jackson State, they wanted to know your life story, and they wanted to know why you weren't doing this. And they wanted you to know that you need to strive for more. At Thurgood Marshall, and this is why I attended Thurgood Marshall, because I was accepted at quite a few law schools. I was supposed to start the year before Tori and Erica started, and God works in mysterious ways. Well, I ended up having a baby, and so I could not start in 2002, which is when I was supposed to start law school. I was told by so many people that you do not need to go to law school with the baby. There is no way you are going to make it through law school with the baby. I graduated nearly at the top of the class with the baby, and it was the support of my classmates who would babysit when my husband was at work and I needed to study. It was the support of my professors who would allow me to bring my baby to class if he was sick and couldn't go to the daycare. He became a part of Thurgood just as much as I did. He was instrumental in me making it, but Thurgood was instrumental in us making it. So that support was just so enormous there. I can't imagine getting support like that from other types of institutions. Now, it could possibly happen. But I'll tell you, I never in a million years imagined that I would be able to succeed in the way that I did with a baby. And he was not even walking. He was learning to walk when Judge Finch knocked his teeth out, but
I cannot believe you said that. You ought to be ashamed. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we need a brief commercial break. So all of our viewers, that is not true.
I need to go to a breakout room.
Okay, that is not true.
But in all honesty,
all lawyers, please leave your name and contact information. I might have a defamation claim. I need
with what Angela said. I had one professor in math,
Dr. Frazier.
Yeah, Frazier.
I will concur with what she said. Dr. Frazier taught math at Prairie View, renowned around this country as a mathematics specialist. But he was, at first, my freshman year, I had him for Cal 1. And I just thought, man, he is doing the most. You could not show up late. If you showed up late, don't even come in the classroom, or you are basically going to get embarrassed. He'll call your mom. He will call your dad, or if he knew someone about you. I had other professors that were similar, that you couldn't show up late. They were serious about time, and about you getting your lesson is kind of Dr. Frazier will use, but you needed to get your lesson out. And you needed to be on time no matter what you had going on campus. So I appreciated that. As a freshman at first, I didn't that first semester, but I grew into it and I was glad about it. And even when I started to teach at Prairie View, I took some of those qualities that I didn't even think I would ever take or like to. You need to be on time and you need to show up prepared and have your lesson done.
And on top of that, not only while you're in school, those same professors will be there for you after school.
True.
So when you are looking to climb higher heights, or you need some kind of career referral, your professors, I mean, they continue to pour into you after you graduate, you know. And I know some people have bad experiences at all schools. You know, I do believe you kind of get what you put into it. But out of HBCU schools, it's just been a blessing. Just a quick little commercial break. I didn't intend on going to an HBCU undergraduate school for all 4 years, for the record. That was not my plan. My plan was to go to Middle Tennessee State University, where I was going to major in telecommunications, work in radio and TV broadcasting, because my father was into gospel music. And so it was just something that said, let me try at HBCU for 1 year, because you have a different world, right? Everybody wanted to go to Hillman. If you say you didn't, you're lying. You wanted to go to Hillman. And so, but I heard that this PWI, okay, was one of the top communication schools in the country. And so I said, well, let me try this HBCU, Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University, 1 year. I went there and it changed my life. It changed my degree. I no longer wanted to do communication. I turned into a business marketing major, which landed me into the legal field, because I took a business law class, because I met one of my first like upfront Black attorneys who really just poured into me and loved his profession and was like, I see something in you. You should go to law school, which confirmed my mother's vision. That's a whole nother story. My mother has visions and everything she says comes true. But and for free, you don't even have to pay her. But I'm just saying, that was not my plan. But as Angela said, God works in mysterious ways. I'm glad I went that 1 year, and I stayed the whole 4 years. It wouldn't change it for anything. So yes.
We told you at the beginning, this is as much as you guys showed it is ours. So when you said commercial break, now we're just gonna go. We're gonna stay in that same vein, because that's the question we usually talk about. Both John and I were planning on going to OU. When I went to Prairie View, I went to this Engineering Science Concepts Institute for summer. I just wanted to get 11 credits. I just wanted to get these credits and then go to OU. And then I got there, and this wasn't even the fall or the spring. This is the summer, and I still was impressed with what I got there. But what I want to get to is that obviously you all were raised by greatness. You guys had excellence before you got into HBCU. I heard someone say that you get out what you put in. Mm-hmm. So what made you decide on HBCU? Because I'm pretty sure you guys had other offers. Well, Victoria, you just told us why. But from the other two, what made you go? Because I had other offers too. And I even got told by Black people to not waste my intelligence at an HBCU. And I believe that same narrative, that stigma is still in existence right now, which is why we even created My Degree is Black, is to not down other universities, but to celebrate and let people know about people like yourself. So you guys can tell us about your journey to even getting into undergrad at HBCU.
So can I do a part B real quick on that?
Go ahead.
For my answer? Let me explain though too how Thurgood happened. The reason I went to Thurgood, I was accepted to Vanderbilt University School of Law. Okay, it's one of the top law schools in the country. My mother received her doctorate there in education. That's why I wanted to go there, because I love my mom. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
And my mother told me, being one of the first African American women to graduate from their doctoral program with a full scholarship, that Toria, you don't have to go to this school to be successful. And that changed my life because I was torn between Vanderbilt University, a school that society really, accepted and glamorized, and Thurgood Marshall School of Law, which is still a great school. But, when you look at tiers and rankings for national recognition, it's different. And so she changed my life on that. And she told me that wherever you go, wherever God sends you, that's where you're going, you'll thrive, because she could not attest that the same type of experience and the networking and the investment that we're talking about is something that I will get from this school, right? And Vanderbilt is an amazing school. She said a lot of things too, and it's helped her life as well. But it was my mom that said the opposite of what you said that convinced me to go to Thurgood Marshall, because there is this myth and misconception that if you go to a Black school, that you're not as successful, you're not as smart as others. But that is the biggest lie from the pits of hell, because there are so many qualified African American students in HBCU schools by choice, not by just, I have no other option.
Right.
So anyway, I'm gonna stop there because I'll talk all day about that. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
I wanted to go to Louisiana Tech or LSU. My major was going to be engineering. I wanted to do patent and intellectual property law was my idea for law school. But when I was younger, in middle school, high school, my sister went to JCC, Jarvis Christian College, which is also an HBCU. I would go there and stay with her on campus. And then at one point she moved off campus. I would go there and stay with her. She pledged Delta as well. And so her line sisters would take me with them. I would go to step shows, and it was fun. It was a good time, especially in middle school and high school, to go hang out with her. And so when the opportunity presented itself to go to Prairie View, my dad was just basically like, it's a good school, and my money's going to an HBCU, and you need to stay in Texas. So that was why I chose Prairie View, was because of my some experiences with my sister. And then my dad was just basically like, you're staying in Texas. Yeah. HBCU is a good choice. And he was right. I always say it's the second best decision I made. The first was accepting Christ, but literally, I joke about it, but that's the second best decision I ever made in my life. I'm glad I made it. I wouldn't be right here today.
Yeah, go ahead. Say that again for the people in the back. The only thing better than the HBCU is accepting Christ. Hey, I think that.
That word right there. Only thing better. Put that on a shirt. I like it.
You got it. That'll be your first sermon. I'm ready. I'm showing up.
Hey, you got to be careful with Eric. She gonna want her royalty, so don't even.
She already gave me permission in front of all of these people here to put it on the shirt. So I mean, she gave me ownership, right? I think that's.
Just give me a free t-shirt.
Got you.
So as I stated before, I didn't start at Jackson State University. I was at Mississippi State University. I was actually on a full environmental sciences scholarship, majoring in chemical engineering. And I had some issues or some things that happened back at home, and I had to move back home just to help the family out a little bit. And so Jackson State honestly was a part of my life for as long as I lived in Jackson. I moved to Jackson when I was 12 years old, and I grew up on Pecan Boulevard off of Lynch Street. Jackson State is on Lynch Street. So I lived within walking distance of Jackson State. At night, we could open the windows and hear the sonic boom practicing. Sometimes we would actually go and sit and watch the practices. Jackson State has always been a part of my life. When I was in middle school, there were students that came over that mentored us. We did summer programs on the campus. When I was at Jim Hill High School, the same thing. We had a lot of students that were at Jackson State who were student teachers come over and teach at the high school, and we would go over to the campus. Jackson State was always a part of my life. It was a natural transition from Mississippi State to Jackson State. The only regret is that I should have started there in the beginning. But it's okay because God has a plan, right? Everything works according to his will and his plan. And so my plan was to go to Mississippi State, I think, so that I could appreciate even more Jackson State, because it was such a part of my life. It's kind of like with family, right? You start taking advantage because they're just there all the time. And so you don't appreciate the greatness of your family because they're there all the time. And there's something new and shiny over to the side. You go and you say, oh, well, it's not all that great. And I miss the sense of home. I miss the love that I received, the camaraderie, the friendship, the networking. All of that was there for me. I couldn't see it. I didn't realize it in the beginning. I didn't recognize that Jackson State is where I should have been all along. I wanted to go off and try something new. And I did. And I just kind of transitioned right back home. And I'm glad I did. The same with Thurgood Marshall. As I stated earlier, I was accepted into SMU. I was accepted into Ole Miss. I was accepted into probably about 15 law schools. And most of them were pretty top tier law schools. But I had a baby. And, I didn't want to risk going to these law schools and not making it. Not because I wasn't smart enough, but because that support system, I just didn't know if it was going to be there. We moved to Houston. We didn't have a huge support system here. My husband had a cousin that lived here, but he played in the NBA, so they were off for most of the time and only here in the summers. So we didn't have a support system here. But my family, my Thurgood family, became my support system. And again, it made me realize this is the greatest decision I could have ever made. And honestly, when you go outside of Texas, people don't even think about the tier of Thurgood Marshall. People hear that you're a graduate of Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and they are in awe. And they ask you so many questions and want to sit down and pick your brain because they really admire the alumni. We represent our school so well. This is the first time we've had this many Thurgood grads on the bench, but Thurgood grads have been excelling in the courtroom for a very long time, excelling in corporate America for a very long time. It's just that we aren't considered a top tier law school because of these superficial rankings. But we have some of the smartest people in the profession. And I'm so proud that I decided to go to this school. I'm so proud that I can call Thurgood home. When I go back there, it still feels like going home. I teach at Thurgood now, and I feel like I'm raising another generation of greatness when I go to the campus. So I will never, ever say that this was a bad decision. It wasn't my second best. I don't know how I can rank it because I have a husband and kids.
What about Jackson State? Would you say that's your second best?
What?
At Jackson State. Is Jackson State your second best?
Before my husband and kids?
Yeah.
No.
Can you
have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you.
It's being recorded. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah, you remember I told you after I run the outro, then I'm gonna stop the live, and then we can have.
Right.
Gotcha.
Off the record.
But Jay, you know what? Listening to Judge Angela's story reminded me of Kendra. Kendra was one of the first people that recorded a My Degree is Black story with us. And she talked about how her father passed. And that was the one summer, I think, that she didn't go back home. And all of the students at Howard University became her family. And they really looked out for her and ensured that she made it through. And listening to you, Judge Angela, when you say, hey, look, so I knew I could thrive anywhere, but I needed to go somewhere I knew I could make it. Right? And that's a difference. Mm-hmm. And to know, to me, HBCUs is where it's home. You always can go back home. Yep. And you're going to be taken care of. You're going to have you a hot meal. They're going to look out for you. It's home. And you can't get that nowhere else.
Nowhere else. When you go on the yard for homecoming, for anything, it just feels so surreal and so welcoming. And
yeah. I love it. It's like mini, when you say it's like a mini Wakanda, it's like a Wakanda. I tell people when I went to Ghana, I spent 3.5, 4 weeks there. I cried the first 3 or 4 days just to be in a place where everybody looked like me. And as I'm talking to you all now, I'm realizing the only time that I've ever experienced that is at an HBCU. It's the only place you go where everybody looks just like you.
I guess last week, Vernon Blanson, he said at graduation, right after, he said he started crying. And people thought he was tears of happiness. He was like, no, I'm sad that I'm having to leave this place, you know? So I totally get it. Man, it's so much in there. The support system it's crazy. I was just telling my daughter Cameron, I was telling her having to meet some of her family members she hadn't met before. I was like, you just never know who you're gonna see, right? Like you have a flat tire. My grandfather, my grandparents used to always say that you have a flat tire, somebody see you want to make sure that they see you, they can be like, oh, that's whatever, versus just passing you up. And so I feel like same thing. My daughter Cameron's like, everybody, because we go anywhere in like Prairie View, or just another HBCU because we were at a NSBE conference and we were in Region 5 together, whatever it was in the organization that we were in. And Lord knows I love my fraternity, but I'm telling you, like the connections through HBCUs have been bigger than anything in my life that I've experienced. And the thing about that legacy passes on to my children as well, like where nothing against, again, I can't say anything for the other universities, but I can't imagine, okay, like if I go to UT, like it's just UT, right? But just like you said earlier, it's all over HBCU. So Alcorn, whoever, if they know me, then they know my kids and they know my wife and they know whoever. So it's like,
Jamie, I'm gonna stop you and zoom in so you can say that whole thing again, because that was really,
I can't remember.
that was powerful. You go to UT, it's just UT. You go to an HBCU. Tell a story.
The love is tremendous. It's from everywhere. So because if you meet someone, that love stays there. It continues to go on, even if you had disagreements and beef with people in undergrad. I remember the alphas and the kappas got in the fight, but a kappa didn't help me that was in the fight with the alphas after we graduated. Like it's no. Again, I can be offensive on here. It's all good. I'm not running for nothing.
It's your show, man. It's your business.
But all I'm saying is that the camaraderie and the love, like I have never experienced it, and I'm gonna say it every show that you can be a part of the culture and still have a culture shock. And I believe that's what it was for me. I feel like I was exposed. My dad exposed me to different economic levels, different people. Everywhere he tried to do his best, but even with that, I still felt like, man, I learned so much about myself and about my people when I came to HBCU.
For sure, because he said everybody looks like you, and they do, but it's a lot of differences still too.
Yeah, a bunch.
It's that everybody looks like you, but everybody is so different too.
Yeah,
makes it a beneficial experience, right?
Yeah.
Pockets of people, which is a good thing.
Right. You said you from Oak Cliff. I mean, them boys out there, they was a little bit different. They
was wearing leather pants.
They had
summer with the booty.
And but they were still engineering, making A's.
No, they didn't have Jerry curls.
Oh, they just started doing that.
They had a bouffant. They did have a bouffant though.
Yeah, but y'all had that South Side. We used to.
We did. We still got them. We still got them.
And starch jeans.
Yeah.
Everybody did the starch. Everybody starch.
Yeah.
Stand up by themselves.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you couldn't judge those who got in the fights or whatever because they were still really smart. Like I wasn't used to that. I went to high school, and if you was fighting a lot, you just fought. You weren't smart. But like I'm like I see the dude. Like you got a black eye, but you still making an A in class. But you was fighting yesterday at Alumni. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, it was good. You got to see every color of black, every layer of black, every shade, every facet. Like HBCUs are really like onions. You just peel and peel and peel, and it's layered, and it's all good. Like it's all good.
And your grandfather was right, Jamie, and he's absolutely right. Because I didn't go to Tennessee State University in Nashville, but my parents did, and I don't care what the event is. It could be homecoming, it could be whatever. And they're like, oh, you Jan and Harold's daughter, because it's just that kind of atmosphere. If there's a homecoming parade, you can't even get to a spot because everyone's like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. How's your mama? It's just a beautiful extended family. And the fact that I didn't go there, I'm still family because my family went there. So it's a beautiful thing. So I'm glad you're sharing that with your kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's and kind of getting into something else, I guess. But I think that this is great that we're having these discussions because we're exposing to other people what we've known all along. Like we've known how great HBCUs are, right? Shout out to Beyonce for doing her homecoming, although she didn't attend an HBCU, she even recognized the beauty and the importance of the HBCU. So this isn't new to us. And I think, we preach to the choir when we talk to other HBCU grads about how great this is. So it's wonderful that you all are doing this and spreading the word to others who have not had the privilege and the honor of attending an HBCU.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You can come to homecoming at an HBCU. I think, people talk about Howard Homecoming, the CAU, North Carolina A&T, FAMU. The list goes on and on.
Alabama A&M, yeah.
Texas State University.
Tennessee State University, yeah.
Black conference.
It's a great experience, but it's only for that day or for that weekend. You don't get the years that you spend there and that experience. The homecoming is a great experience. And people rave about that who didn't go to HBCUs. But just imagine taking that power pack day or weekend and living that for 365, 4 years or 5 years. Some people take a lot longer. However long people there. And that experience just expands the more time that you spend there, and you really do become an adult, and it really does raise you and give you your values to become an adult. So it was the best experience for sure.
And even the HBCUs are parts of the community, right? We have people who go to the games, who come to homecoming, who have never attended college, but they are so proud of the students and they're so supportive of the students. They're at every event cheering on the students because it's a part of the community. And it's really the center of a lot of the urban communities, right? HB Jackson State is home to so many things. People go there to work out. There are child care centers there. So just talking about the basic necessities that our communities need is provided at HBCUs. And so they are vital, instrumental to our communities thriving. And they also, when I ended up at Thurgood Marshall, I knew so much about TSU because every pharmacist in Mississippi graduated from TSU School of Pharmacy. We had lawyers who graduated from Thurgood Marshall School of Law because most of them didn't have anywhere else to go, right? They didn't have opportunities to go anywhere else, but they still thrived in their careers. And when we had the opportunities to go elsewhere, why would we want to? When we see people in our communities that have excelled in their professions, their careers, their community leaders, and even going back to Congressman Lewis, because he was my absolute hero. I feel so heartbroken that he's no longer here. And I'm so grateful that we did, as Toria mentioned earlier, we had that brief moment in time where we were actually able to meet him. I have been trying to meet him for years. And so I'm so grateful for that. But just for me as a kid, I watched Eyes on the Prize. And I saw how important HBCUs were to the civil rights movement and remain important to the movements today. And so I'm hoping that there are young people watching this and understanding while the parties are great, we have a great time on every yard. We have a great time on every hill. We have a great time. But there's so much history there, and there's so many lessons to be learned there.
Yeah.
There needs to be, and if this is a movement, this is great. They need to be educated on why we have to continue to tell these stories. It feels like sometimes we are the only ones who are sometimes ashamed of our history, and we don't want to tell it to our kids and explain it to our kids. But they need to know that we are fighters, that we are intellectuals, that we are capable of overcoming. And so that's what an HBCU does. It tells the story.
It teaches you that history for sure. Right. They taught me in orientation on that first week that in 1890, William Hooper Council, who was a former slave, ran away to Union lines and started this school because it is a land granting institution, which means that federal funds were actually provided to states to set aside certain lands for agriculture and research and science and military services. And so we learned that. We learned that he competed with Booker T. Washington right down the street at Tuskegee University. So they teach you that pride, and when you can say, look where we started, all the way back at slavery.
Yep.
And he thought of me. He thought of you.
Yep.
I mean, why can't it's hard not to have pride. It's hard to not feel good about where you've come and where you're going. And so I'm with you on that.
It sets a fire in you too. You were talking about the history of the A&M purviews, the A&M Agriculture Mechanical Land Grant Act as well. Texas A&M right up the street didn't want the Black people to go, so let's put them on Alta Vista Plantation. And Waller was the last stronghold for slavery, right? You talk about Juneteenth coming to Galveston. Right. The last one came to the Waller and the Grove Plantation. Frank Jackson is a history buff from Prairie View. Used to be the mayor. He's over governmental affairs at Prairie View. But he talks about that, and you learn that when you come to Prairie View. But it amazes me that Angela spoke that the HBCU is a part of the community, and Prairie View and Waller, even when we were there and even till this day, they try to oppress the Black student vote because those students at Prairie View can change the trajectory of the entire county. And so when I was a freshman and I was in student government, that is what incited me or gave me the fire to be involved in politics and to advocate for voting rights. So we're running on the bench, but it's something that's long time, been in my heart from the student government aspect in Waller County, that you don't want students to vote, minority students, because they can change the entire county and swing it from a red county Republican to Democrat if these students on this campus vote. So it definitely did that for me, and the fire still burns bright from those days at Prairie View, advocating for people to vote and their rights to vote.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
Man, y'all mentioned so many things. I swear y'all in my notes over here, man. I don't even know which one to ask but I'll go with this one just because we brought up the power of the HBCU. There's always talk about the power of the Black dollar. You hear that a lot. So I want to make it touchable, tangible. There's power in the HBCU. I think back in the day, I know for sure back in the day that Black churches played a huge part in the communities, and they weren't just about religion. It was really about the formation and support of the community that was around them. I'm not trying to knock the Black church. So again, I can be offensive on here and I have nothing else, but I don't think that it's the same anymore. And so I think that the power is through HBCUs. Judge Angela, you talked about them being in the community, many of them in the community. We know Southern University is right there in Baton Rouge. So we talk about them, TSU is right there in Houston. So how can HBCUs or the alumnus of HBCUs actually be that power for the community, even when it comes to you guys and putting you all in office? A lot of people are supporting, like, and love, but they won't put their money to support your campaign, right? Like, so we talked about that, John, right? When O-Rock said, you come back to support, you physically come back to support, but your money doesn't, or your time with people to mentor these kids, they don't. So it might not be an answer, it might just be an idea, but one, do you believe that HBCU alumni have the power to gather together and bring this power that the Black church used to be in the Jim Crow era? And then if you do believe that, what could we do better to actually organize that? Or I don't even know how the question is going, but it's in my head. It makes sense.
So before anybody answers, I'm gonna let y'all get y'all thoughts together. And while we do that, we just, got interview bombed by one of your sisters. I saw you, Judge Erica. You was being ganged up on a little bit here, so I went and got another one of your. You're welcome. If you ever see me, you see me. Thank you.
She gonna help you change your flat tire.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Hey,
I'm gonna represent.
God.
So we are being joined by Judge Shannon Baldwin, who is another one of the Houston 19, the faces of justice that have continued to change what the judicial system looks like and how we interact with it, not just here in Harris County, but all over the world now. And we wanted to bring her in so that she could ask y'all a couple of them questions, because she know all y'all business. So she can ask some real good ones. We want to get some views, Judge. Get us some views.
I got a couple, a softball question first, though. Really, ladies, with the platform that you have now, given the influence that you have on young African American women and children, girls, what would you like to do moving forward to have greater influence on young African American women and girls?
So I'll go. I think I've talked to you guys about it a little bit, Shannon and Toria, for sure. Basically, I think that African American males and females are being left behind, and it is a mentorship program where we bring them to the courthouse and show them the criminal justice system where they are, so that they won't ever get in the system, and mentor them with programs like our group brothers and sisters, end of the year session. But just as they go through the school year, that we're talking to them about financial literacy, that we're talking to them about education and going to college, the SATs, the ACT portion, that we're introducing them to step shows, to financial aid, to other options as well, and different careers that they may not see African Americans in. And then kind of an end of the year, school year bash or celebration. And that each one of us take one of the high schools, like the Worthing, the Yates, the Booker T, and mentor that school. It hadn't got off the ground since we started. Of course, there have been some hangups, but I think we do have some folks at HISD that are willing to support and help us now. So hopefully after COVID, that's what I would like to see. I think my pastor says, maybe you can't help everybody, but help that one somebody like you wish that you could help everybody. So if we could each get that one school, there's 19 of us, I think that'd be major to get the 19 predominantly African American students in Houston and kind of nurture them along the way in high school. That's my thing.
I think all of you have had students, male, female, or otherwise, really different ethnicities, different schools visit your courtroom. So I know that the influence that you can have on students very important. So I'm proud to be a part of that along with you. One other question. Ladies, I don't know if you still feel this. Sometimes, every now and again, well, before COVID, let me say that. There are a few little steps you take to walk up and get on that bench every day. Every time I get prepared in my office to put my robe on, I walk out of my little door and look to my right to see if Erica is down the aisle there. And I walk into that courtroom after they announce all rise and it's Judge Shannon Baldwin, in court's in session. And I take those first 3 steps to get on that bench. It is an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling because I realize I'm about to step into something that's bigger than me most oftentimes. Do you share those feelings? And if it's different, if you can tweak it and just express for yourselves what that feels like, and is it the same out of body experience for you that I have?
It is for me. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Judge. You got it, Tori.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say quickly. I still have that awesome, overwhelming feeling. I still feel nervous. I still feel excited about it. Because the reality is that what we're about to do when we get on that bench is going to affect at least probably somewhere between 50 to 90 lives just in that one day. And these are people that you've never encountered before, and you're hoping and praying that you're making the right decision. And so this was a conscious thing for me. I'm a Christian woman, so I have a routine. When I'm getting dressed and I put on my robe, I'm saying the Lord's Prayer at the same time. Because the word tells you that you're supposed to ask for wisdom. And I do that every day, Monday through Friday, because my fear is always making the wrong decision in somebody's life. And so, yeah, I still feel that way. I feel excited, humbled, nervous, all those things.
And I'll say that, yes, I also feel the same way. As I'm in my chambers and I'm putting on my robe, I say thank you. I say that every morning. It's just automatic. Like, thank you, because I recognize this gift that God has given me, right? And I understand the magnitude of my position and what I'm about to do. As I'm stepping onto the bench, my father's flag is right there, and I see it. And I feel an overwhelming sense of sadness because he didn't get to see me through to the finish line in this. But also, it really reaffirms for me that so many people believe in me and that this is not just me. And as you said, Shannon, this is something that's bigger than myself. And so I take a breath. I hope I don't trip over my long robe as I'm walking.
Because anybody that's a black tailor or a seamstress, holler at the judges.
No, you got a tailor.
No, right. They were healed. But because depending on the day and how my feet are feeling at the time, I may not have shoes. So I have taken a tumble, and thankfully it was going off the bench, so no one saw it. But
have you choked yourself yet?
Yes,
I've choked myself.
Yes. So I have a little silent, I do a little silent prayer. God give me wisdom, God give me strength, and God give me balance so that I can get to my seat without falling. So
I think for me, Shannon, definitely that feeling is still there. I told my niece, she started a new job this summer and is here in Houston with me. And so I was asking her, she said she was nervous. I told her it's good to have butterflies, that you still have that feeling. And as we took the bench and replaced people that have been there for 20, 12 plus years, maybe they don't have that feeling anymore. And when that feeling is gone, then this may not be for me anymore. And it's time to step down. And I don't have that feeling or that weight that this is a great task or duty. I'm a movie buff. I talked about Wakanda before, so I'll say Lion King. When Simba ascended upon the rock and the sun comes on, I pump myself up maybe with that, but always talk about, for sure, jokingly, that's my thing, but to Esther for such a time as this, and to take it seriously and ask God to give me wisdom that he gave Solomon when he ruled, and the judges in the Bible, Deborah and Barak. I always think of those things, but jokingly, to make myself smile and laugh and not be so nervous, I do the Lion King thing.
I'm gonna steal that. One more HBCU realness, sister to sister question.
Come on.
Ask it. Hold on. Let me make your
I want to know, because I am PWI, but still black as you know what.
Come on.
So I want to know, because I know the experience of your day-to-day lives. I know who you encounter from day to day and what oftentimes that can feel like. Did your experience at a HBCU prepare you for the confrontation of being an African American woman and a judge and being in charge of everything? I mean, because we are in charge of what happens in that room. And all people that come into it. Did it prepare you? And sister to sister, did you have to say a time or two, let me check myself before I wreck myself?
Come on.
Yeah.
Judge Shannon, don't be coming on here trying to get you a segment on our show. Right. We might have to sign up on a contract.
I will say my HBCU definitely prepared me at Prairie View as an electrical engineering major. Corporations, Fortune 500 corporations sought out specifically, they wanted Black engineers for their diversity and inclusion portion of their job. So they came to Prairie View for the Black engineers. They didn't go to A&M or UT to recruit Black engineers. So all of the interns that I had at Boeing, State Farm, Wholesome Cement Company, Northrop Grumman, all of my interns, Texas Department of Transportation as an engineer, I was placed in those positions where I was the minority and I was the only African-American female in those positions. And a lot of those positions were held by males in engineering. If I was wearing a hard hat and steel toe boots with TxDOT or at the cement plant, those were mostly males. So I would say it put me in situations and surroundings that were not HBCU experience. It was the real world of what I would experience. So I would say it prepared me. Even when I was at Thurgood Marshall, I interned at State Farm in their legal department. And so it was always a situation where they were giving me, casting my net into other areas so that I could go fishing, literally, and learn in those environments. So thankful to those HBCUs for giving me those opportunities and putting me in those arenas where I knew kind of how to handle myself and prepare for the real world.
It's true. They make it clear, at least at Alabama A&M University, that your time there is temporary, that you're not there to stay. They prepare you to take on a world that may not embrace you. They prepare you to take on a world that might have you question whether your purpose is truly your purpose. But the way they equip you is that they show you that, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Not to use scriptures for everything, but it's a level of pride in your identity and your skills and abilities, as I was talking about earlier, that they give you. And you're prepared to leave there and not necessarily ask for permission to do things, or, it's a unique experience. They really just kind of tell you, this is your charge. We need you to be successful. We need you to continue to open those doors for other people. And you have to be prepared to continue that struggle, the same struggle that created the opportunity for you to even be at this campus. And so I find that they did prepare me, because I think had they not boosted my self-esteem, given me that pride, and created the opportunities to do internship opportunities, like with those Fortune 500 corporations. I've had a chance to work with the NBA, the regional office of Chick-fil-A and their incorporation, their marketing division, and so many other big things. I don't know if I probably would have been as successful, because I believe this was my mission, but they definitely helped me get to where I am today. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't have much more to add, because the experience at an HBCU is basically that it is an experience that where you are, it is embedded in you that you are not just enough, not just good enough, you are excellent. And so you are prepared. As Toria said, your self-esteem is built up such that if you go into, and when you go into corporate America, I was also in corporate America, and you are faced with adversities, in the back of your mind is your foundation, right? And that foundational learning that you has been instilled in you at your HBCU is that, number one, you are excellent. Number two, you're not the first, because as they said before, you learn history at HBCUs. So you know about the people who went before you and the struggles that they had. And your struggles become minute or minor. Not that they don't matter, but in the grand scheme of things, was your head bust open when you walked across the bridge? Was your home bombed? Was your father shot down in front of you as you were laying, or you were in your house and he was coming home to see you? You learn about that history and those struggles, and you realize that it is so much bigger than you. These minor infractions or these minor obstacles that you encounter in corporate America, they're just that, they're minor. But then what it also tells you is that you are big enough to not have to deal with this. You can do it on your own. And that's why we can walk away from big law firms and corporations and start our own companies and start our own successful law firms, because we know what we're worthy of and we know what we're capable of.
And let me throw a little illustration out there for Judge.
Go ahead.
What came to mind, here's an illustration, as we've been talking about Wakanda, okay? So if an HBCU is Wakanda, on the day that you are at your graduation and you're about to depart that campus, not to return as a student again, it's like the Black Panther's mother standing there when he's fighting his cousin, and all they're telling you is, show them who you are.
Right.
And that's the charge.
Yep.
And they've equipped us to say, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of.
Yep.
Racism is par for the course. Sexism is par for the course. If you're going to defeat us, it's got to be better than that.
Come on.
So that's how I feel like we were equipped for it. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add, oftentimes in engineering. Also, the HBCUs prepared. I would go work at places in corporate America, and something maybe would go wrong, or there was an issue where maybe someone that attended a PWI was freaking out and was not ready for the change or the issue that was at hand. And for me, I was cool, calm, and collected. I had already experienced it, or maybe not had every tool that I needed to make it work, or everything that I should have had at that time. And it was still the ability to just hold my head straight and think through the situation and find a solution where other people are about to go crazy in a situation. The HBCU has prepared you to handle pressure and to handle oppression as well from other people. And so you are able to fight back and to live to see another day when it doesn't seem like maybe you should.
And you always have
and I agree with that, because attending a PWI and then attending an HBCU, I will be honest, as far as the tools that are available to you at PWIs, because that funding is there, because that money pours in. It's great now because corporations are starting to pour more money into HBCU. So we're having those opportunities. But I remember my first day at Jackson State, standing in line to register for a class, and I was like, what is this? Like at Mississippi State, you get on the phone, you put your classes in, and then you hit *4. I still remember it, to request your refund check. That was it. That was it. And they would tell you if you requested it by 5 o'clock, it would be ready the next day. You go pick it up. Not so adjusted. But it taught me to persevere. It taught me to go stand in that line, and every day until somebody dropped that class that I wanted, I would go stand in that line.
Come on.
There was some, there were some things that, maybe we didn't have. I remember we did a fundraiser for the Spanish club. We had to get creative. We had a skillet out there, and we bought tortillas, and then we went back to my house to fry the fajita meat. I mean, we just got really creative. You learn to make a way. You learn to find out how to do things, because everything is not handed to you. It's not instantaneous. You have to work for it.
Okay, HBCU roll call, since you just brought it to my attention. Now, everybody's waited in the line at an HBCU. Has anyone ever been in a line or know of someone that was in a line and it was lunchtime and that door or that window shut? One time.
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty or not guilty?
All day. Even me, I'm in my classes around the lunchtime. It was going to be a good time where everybody ate at a lunchtime.
Yeah.
But it makes you, it builds character. You just realize that you're upset in the moment, but down the road you laugh at it.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm next. Y'all
I'm feeling my inner Oprah. Will you indulge me one more question?
Y'all took over the show a long time ago. So we on y'all show. But y'all did this 2 years ago.
I'm here at only your behest. But listen. Real quick and a real quick, simple question. Are you your brother's keeper? And if so, why?
It's all about community. Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. I'm my brother's keeper. HBCU taught you that from day one, I would say. The camaraderie, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, all of those things. From studying, like Jamie said, he had family there, sorority, even in other organizations I was in student government, NSB, athletics, everything. Yes.
It's tug of war, baby.
All day. We went.
I'll say this one thing, and then we'll say goodbye for now to Judge Shannon. Side note, we're gonna do an HBCU Black judge tour. We might need to do that. Get all the beautiful Black young girls together and take them on a tour to y'all courtrooms. That would be live.
That would be great. Is a statistic that 80% of Black judges went to HBCUs?
Boom. Yes. Like that was insane. Like love that. When I say, I always say that HBCUs are really like the first fraternity anybody pledges if you went to an HBCU, and that love and that camaraderie that happens there is amazing. It reminds me of and it sounds a little crazy, but you get what I'm saying, of In Living Color. And In Living Color, what was so beautiful about In Living Color is In Living Color celebrated all of our blackness. It didn't matter what it showed up as. It didn't matter how ratchet it was, how sophisticated it was. Like, all of our blackness was cool in a space. And the only time I've ever seen that is at an HBCU. And I didn't graduate from PV. I graduated from U of H and I graduated from St. Joseph's University. But I still cut a check to Prairie View. It is the only place I physically cut. Even when I don't have money, I cut a check to Prairie View because I love us. And we'll have to answer this question offline. But to go back to Jamien's point, that HBCUs house all of our history and all of who we are. And if HBCUs are gone, like, the history of Black people goes with that. And I'm not willing, as Iyanla would say, not on my watch.
Before we go, can we shout out the people who were definitely in the comments who joined in today? You guys said we had some people on the Judge Baldwin joined because she was clearly in the comments.
Like all in there.
Hey, well, I'm out, guys. Love you. You all did a great job.
Good night, Judge. Thank you for coming.
Bye, Judge.
Thank
you. See you.
We'll see you soon.
Right. Shout out to my family that joined in. I know Angela, I think some of your family, and Toria, yours too.
Yeah, if you tell me the names, I can make sure I pop them up, but I don't know who the people are.
My sister joined in, and I'm gonna write you in the chat.
Yeah. Go ahead. We make sure we shout the folks out.
Doretha Hughes, ain't Diane, ain't Stephanie. I think I saw them join in. A lot of the PV family joined in. Torin and Jen were on earlier. The Watsons. She went to Prairie View too. Shout out, and then Judge Jones too. Yeah,
Judge
Jones was on too. We love Judge Jones, and so I think that's a good thing to shout out the people. Thank you guys. For
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Come on. There we go. This was so good. Like, this was so good. So good. So good.
So maybe we can come back. Maybe we'll invite us back so we can have a part 2 or something. I don't know.
We don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, we don't have a problem because we got to tell people that they need to get to the polls too, as well.
At least once a year. So we said early voting is October 13th through the 20th. Or no, the 30th. I'm sorry, and then November 3rd is the actual date of 2020. So everybody, make sure you're registered to vote and that you vote in the general election. It's the presidential election coming up. We have some big things on the ticket as a people, and we need to vote for people who are supporting us and supporting what you believe in. But every vote counts. So make sure you get your one vote in.
Yeah. So as we get ready to wrap this thing up, want to know, like, really briefly, so like 30 seconds or so, tell us one thing that you're doing right now that we can get behind, that you want us to get behind. We want to use this platform. Not only, we definitely keeping you in office. We already decided that.
Yeah.
That's happening. But what else are you doing that we can get behind?
Right now, like Judge Harrington said, a lot of things have been halted. My main thing that I spoke about is if you guys could get behind us with providing resources for the program I talked about with the schools in HISD, predominantly African American schools, providing resources for medical day. If you know doctors or dentists that can come out and speak to students about hygiene, about health. If you know CPAs or financial advisors that can talk about financial literacy, people that can talk about education, SAT prep, ACT prep, and tools that students can use to give them a vision and just the promise that they have a future. If it's in college or whatever else they want to do, it may be opening their own business and entrepreneurship. If you can provide those things, that would be great.
Gotcha. Well, I tell you that Epsilon Gamma Iota Incorporated is behind it. I just met with the alumni who was fussing, saying we need some more new initiatives. So we will definitely do that. And my degree is Black. You already know we
For sure.
we gonna do that, man. Jay, I guess we bringing back the Black College Tour. We had talked about it, but never got a chance to do it because of COVID.
Yeah.
So anyway, what about you other two melanated, beautiful judges?
For me, as Judge Hughes said, and just Angela and Erica, sorry, said, a lot has kind of come to a halt, but we cannot underemphasize or overemphasize, just voting right now, and people just staying awake as to what's going on with the right to vote for judges and just the right to vote in general. We can never turn out too many people, and until we are voting at 100%, then we still have much work to do, and that's something we can do whether it's COVID-19 or not. And so in this present time, I just want you all to get behind getting people out to vote and making sure we're monitoring and holding accountable our governor and what's happening in our judicial selection committee and making sure the right thing happens.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And what about you, Judge Graves?
So Judge Finch, well, Toria and Erica basically said what I was going to say in terms of just the community engagement. You know, let's build on this platform. We have students who can touch us now, right? We have people who can touch us, and so let's get people to touch us, even if it's not actually coming and sitting in our courtroom, but maybe some virtual visits to our courtroom. We can arrange that. Let's be creative in how we can introduce these students to this career path. And then also, as Tori said, voting, civic engagement, explaining to young people the importance of voting. We have high school students who can vote. We have 17-year-olds who will be 18 in time to vote, so they need to get registered. Time is running down. October will be here before we know it. So we need people to get registered to vote, particularly our young people, but we also want them to know why they're voting, okay? We want them to know why their vote is important. So civic engagement is really number one for me.
Awesome. We're definitely taking notes. We'll be sure to post that information and to get behind it as well. As you know, whatever we can do, our platform is yours, both personally and professionally. It's good. I feel like, yeah, oh man. Okay.
I love it.
No,
Only you, Damien. I'm done. I ain't gonna say nothing.
No, you good. You good. You actually can start us out because you first on the as we end the show. You're first on the screen. Okay. But yeah, I feel the chills too. So I feel you. And thank you all for the time. Like this is a long time. We appreciate it. Tell your friends, your family, whoever, your dogs that we appreciate the 2 hours that you had.
Yeah, I had to change the lighting in this situation. I'm sorry for all the noise.
I did too. So.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's see. My name is J. Albert Nichols. I am super Black, super proud, and super honored to be in the space of such greatness and to be bred by greatness. And my degree is Black.
My name is Jamie Latin Sims. I am a Prairie View alumnus. Sorry for cutting you off. And I am honored to be with the honorable judges here because they have the shoulders that my daughter, that my niece, that my sister, and my great grandchildren and grandchildren I haven't met. They are the women that they will see. And hopefully they can be in their eyes and sitting in that church and say, you're the reason why I'm here. And I'm so proud of them. And my degree is Black.
My name is Toria Finch. I'm an alumni of Alabama A&M University with a degree in business marketing. I'm also an alumni of Thurgood Marshall School of Law with a Juris Doctorate. I am a fearfully and wonderfully made Black woman on a continued mission for truth, justice, and fairness. And all of my degrees are Black.
My name is Angela Graves Harrington. I am an alumnus of Jackson State University and also an alumnus of Thurgood Marshall School of Law. And I am honored to be here today to spend these 2 hours talking to you all about the importance of HBCUs. They are homes away from home that build us and prepare us for excellence in the world. And I am proud to say that my degrees are Black.
My name is Erica Hughes. I have a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Prairie View A&M University and a Juris Doctorate degree from Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University. I am an African American woman. I am powerful and I am you. God is no respecter of people. You too can be where I am if you're watching today. And all of my degrees are Black.